Black Clover chapter 323. Many of our predictions and even some theories have come true in this new chapter. We will explain what happened to Yami, why his body is suddenly like that of a devil, and how this might be related to Lucifero. Also, only a small percentage of the people who watch our videos are actually subscribed, so if you end up liking this video, consider subscribing. Please enjoy this video. Let's go! The new Black Clover chapter 323 begins a few moments before the end of the last chapter, with Yami still injured. We then see Grey crawling towards Yami, and just as we have predicted, she would obviously restore his body. We said that if necessary, all the Black Bulls could work together to heal him, which apparently wasn't necessary at all because Grey is so overpowered that she did it all by herself. However, the interesting thing is that something happened to Yami's body, just as we predicted in many reviews of the Spade Kingdom arc, and that is that the Clover 3 will modify him with demonic influence through the ritual. Grey confirms that his body has changed, he is now like the devil possessing Asta. Here I will take the leaked translation with a grain of salt though. It could be that Yami's body is like Asta in terms of devil possession, but that doesn't make sense. Asta was never possessed by a devil, as Liebe was only ever sealed in the grimoire, not in Asta. But she could also mean Asta's devil form, or indeed, as the leaked translation says, Yami's body is now like Liebe's body, that is, like a devil. In any case, this confirms one of our theories in which we said that Yami's body would become demonic or devilish. Ah yeah, I remember how many people said it was just a clickbait theory for views. Good old days. But anyways, what does Lucifero have to do with it? The likelihood of Yami's body transformation having anything to do with Lucifero, since both most likely possess the same magic ability, an extremely unique underworld magic, depends on whether William's body is now also modified in the same way as Yami's, which will then mean that it's entirely due to the influence of the underworld and the Clover. Perhaps even a devil possession through the ritual itself. At this point, many things would be possible, as both were the core of the Clover that connected them to the underworld throughout the Spade Kingdom arc. That is, it could be something that affects both of them equally. In this case, the possibilities are obviously very broad and quite unpredictable. However, if only Yami's body is affected, then there must be some reason why this is the case. Yami must have something or be someone that makes him different from William, which could then be the reason that only his body has changed. So unless it is something random, such as a random devil from the second gate somehow managed to take possession of Yami, whereas this devil could also have chosen William instead, then Yami's change can only be due to a systematic reason. And if that is the case, then it most likely has something to do with Lucifero. I will talk more about this in a moment. We find out that Yami's body is completely up, but it's also full of magic, which is kind of strange, because the core of the ritual was to absorb the magic of Yami and William to create the Clover 3. Yami being full of magic is more than absurd considering the nature of the ritual. So how could it happen that Yami's body is still full of magic, that is, dark magic? Most likely the same magic that Lucifero uses. Is there a connection? Did Yami's body transform because of Lucifero? What is fascinating, however, is the fact that it looks like William is not as healthy as Yami when it comes to his magic. Just as we predicted, William used his World Tree magic to create the katana that he put all his magic into. Now there are two ways to interpret this. First, William is pretty much empty as far as his magic goes, and used the remaining magic he had to create the sword. In this possibility, his body will most likely not be the same as Yami's, that is, demonic, because we found out that Yami is full of magic for some reason, which could be due to the change that took place on his body. So if William is not full of magic, he may not have the same body as Yami now. The second possibility is that William was full of magic and therefore could possibly have gone through the same transformation as Yami, but he pumped all of his magic into that one sword, literally creating a freaking Excalibur. Both possible, but here's the thing. If someone's body was changed to be comparable to that of a devil, then the person's magic attribute also changes to the demonic counterpart, as we saw saw with Lower Peshika, who received Demon Water magic, and also with Patri, who received Demon Light magic. Both magical abilities became dark, not only symbolically, but literally in color. William's World Tree magic, however, is as always in a light color, and he literally mentioned World Tree magic, not Demon World Tree magic. This is indeed a small or maybe even a big indication that what happened to Yami did not happen to William, because he does not have demon characteristics. Now, I know what you all are thinking. If demonic bodies use demon magic, why doesn't Yami use demon dark magic? That literally disproves everything I said. First of all, it doesn't need to be proven anymore because Gray has already confirmed that Yami's body has changed. So whatever reason Yami uses dark magic and not demon dark magic, it has something to do with Yami himself. Morse has confirmed that dark magic is magic from the underworld, which is why it is a mystery that Yami as a human has such an extremely rare magic ability that no one has ever seen. Literally the only person who immediately recognized the magic was Lucifero. Dante only knew this magic because of Lucifero. So if dark magic is already confirmed as magic from the underworld, then it makes no sense for Yami to receive demon dark magic just because his body has now been influenced by the underworld. Dark magic is already magic from the underworld. There's nothing to change. But back to Lucifero, how would he know this magic? The only person who most likely has the same magic ability as Yami is Lucifugus, the devil most loyal to the three rulers of the underworld and most loyal to Lucifero in demonology. Normally, humans cannot naturally possess underworld magic, and we know that Yami is not a devil unless he's a hybrid, but there's no evidence. The only way he could receive a magic that is not his own is if he had no magic at all, just like Asta. Before my partner Yami continues with this Black Clover chapter 323 review, please take a moment to leave a like. It really helps us a lot so we can create more and better content for you in return. Thank you.
The point is that when Yami arrived in the Clover Kingdom, he didn't seem to have any magic or mana. The first time he showed dark magic was when he received his grimoire. It's just like Asta, who has no magic but then suddenly is able to use anti-magic, a magic from the underworld, after receiving a grimoire he wasn't supposed to receive, just like Yami because he's a foreigner. If we continue this comparison, Yami's magic should come from a devil as well, which then can only be Lucifugus due to the similarity of their magic abilities. Their magic has the same color, pattern, shape, and movement. Lucifugus was able to escape the magic of the ritual, almost as if that he had absorbed the magic, just as Yami can absorb other people's magic with his dark magic black hole. Lucifugus has shown the ability to freeze other people so that they can't move, just as Yami was able to freeze Patri, and even demonology supports this idea. Lucifugus is referred to as the living darkness, spirit of darkness, or the lord of darkness. He is described in the great grimoire called the Book of Lucifugus, which is a book of black magic. That black is literally dark is obvious, even though in the case of demonology, black magic refers to evil magic, just as every citizen in the Clover Kingdom has claimed that Yami's magic ability is evil. Lucifugus gives his power to those who are in possession of his book, and thus in turn could indicate that Lucifugus in Black Clover may have modified a grimoire and then left that grimoire in the human world for someone to receive one day, not to be mistaken with the 5-leaf clover grimoire. 5-leaf clover grimoires are grimoires that can be used by the devils. But here we talk about the possibility of a grimoire being connected to a devil but not owned by a devil. When Raya touched Yami's grimoire, he said that Yami's grimoire has a strange pattern, although Raya has already touched hundreds of other grimoires. This might be an indication that there is something special about Yami's dark magic grimoire. The reason Lucifugus might have done this would be that he wanted his magic to be present in the human world, considering that dark magic is required to create the Clifford tree. It is quite clear why Lucifugus might have had an interest in passing on his own magic to a human being, so that one day they could be used as a source for the Clifford ritual. Dark magic is underworld magic, so normally no human can naturally obtain dark magic, so this is the only possibility. All this, however, does not mean that Lucifugus is sealed in Yami's grimoire, as Libe was sealed in Asta's grimoire, but rather the grimoire itself may be connected to Lucifugus. Back to the new Black Clover chapter, we see Gray using a transmutation magic to restore Yami's body, which immediately healed Yami completely, and since he is now full of mana and magic, he is immediately ready to fight. At that moment, William, who was carried by Bathory, hands Yami the katana, which is made from the World Tree magic. He calls his sword the Blade of Misteltein. This is of course as always a reference, this time to a legendary saga from Iceland. We read everything about this sword and couldn't find anything even remotely worth mentioning in the context of Black Clover. Normally, such weapon names in Black Clover rarely have any meaning for the plot. The only time this was the case was with Yuno's Wind God weapon, where we could predict the other names and even the specific future weapons. We've often wasted a lot of time researching and explaining the meaning of such weapon names to find possible clues. So far, there's never been anything relevant. So we'll save our time with this one because it is most likely just a name and nothing more, especially since we haven't found anything interesting while researching about this sword. Tabala just loves to use such references to weapons and spells. And then the chapter jumps back to the moment where the last Black Clover chapter ended, with Yami saving Nacht by blocking Lucifero's attack, who immediately recognized Yami's dark magic. As we have already explained, Yami was thrown back by Lucifero's power, who then immediately focused on Asta again, once again emphasizing how important it is for Lucifero to get rid of Asta as soon as possible. The reason could be that he's afraid of either the anti-magic or the demon swords, or maybe even both together, or both separately. Lucifero's scar on his chest, if it's indeed a scar, could be the reason why he wants to get rid of Asta, because something about Asta, that is either the demon swords or his anti-magic, could remind him of the person who caused that injury in the past. A very plausible explanation and a good reason why Lucifero could be so obsessed with Asta. And just before Lucifero reaches Asta, Zora and Sekre suddenly jump in to save Asta, using a combination magic. A combination of what looks like Zora's typical full body counter trap magic, where he counters the enemy's attack, now supported by Sekre, who most likely uses sealing magic to either reduce Lucifero's power by sealing part of the attack so Zora can take it, or sealing any possible damage that goes through, so Zora doesn't get hurt much. From Zora's facial expression, especially his white eyes, we can clearly see that this man is not having any fun. Instant regret. Along with Zora and Sekre, we can even see Vanessa's cat supporting the combination spell. Then we see Yami and Nacht talking for probably the first time since Nacht's brother Morgan died. Maybe they talked when Nacht officially accepted his position as vice captain of the Black Bulls, but I can also imagine that Nacht rather avoided Yami, and Yami only found out about Nacht through Julius. So Nacht tells Yami to back off and basically not to interfere with this fight. Oh my god, again, Nacht is talking about his own death. What emo trip is this guy on? Don't get me wrong, we love Nacht, but this man has serious issues that he needs to fix. Let's just hope that the Clover Kingdom has a good psychologist. Nacht says that when he looks at Yami, it reminds him a lot of his old self that he hates so much, which could be another reason why Nacht hates Yami. Besides Yami's magic, which could be the same as Lucifugus's magic, and thus the magic that caused Morgan's death. Nacht keeps insisting that Yami should go away and leave him alone since he took Morgan away from Yami, which is why he doesn't want Yami to die trying to save him, which is also most likely due to Morgan dying the same way when he was protecting Nacht. Under no circumstances does Nacht want to be the reason another person closest to him dies for trying to protect him. We see Nacht remembering Yami and his past and finally admitting that Yami is his precious friend. Yami then turns the tables and makes Nacht realize that they are indeed friends and that you don't need a reason to save a friend. He should move on. Stop being an emo, start a therapy with a very good psychiatrist, and save people like Morgan did. And then we finally see Nacht open up and show his true feelings. If we take a closer look at his face, we can even see tears. So definitely a very emotional moment and probably the turning point in Nacht's life and the beginning of his character development to really become the vice captain of the Black Bulls. If he doesn't step down from that position for Asta, both Yami and Nacht are ready to fight together, just like they did in the good old days. End of Black Clover chapter 323. Let us know in the comments below what you think about this Black Clover chapter. So that's it for today, folks. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, don't forget to smash the like button, and if you're new to our channel, make sure you subscribe with the notification bell turned on. See you guys in the next video. Yami out.